I welcome you all for this presentation. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about the other layers in the OSI model like transport, session, presentation and application. So in the last presentation, we discussed about the first three layers, physical, data link and network layers. And in this presentation, we are going to discuss about transport, session layer, presentation layer, application layer, then functionalities of each and every layer followed by summary of the layers. So the fourth layer is the transport layer. The purpose of this layer is to provide a reliable mechanism for the exchange of data between two processes in different computers. Here this term is very important, to process. From transport layer onwards, we are telling it as a process to process delivery here. Okay, so two process, we are exchanging data between two processes in different computers, and it ensures that the data units are delivered error free, ensures the data units are delivered in sequence. So they are very important. And in the network layer, we are having packets. So whether the packets needed for a particular process is delivered in a correct sequence or not, that we are checking in the transport layer. So ensures the data units are delivered in sequence, ensures that there is no loss or duplication of data units, provides connectionless or connection oriented service, and provides for the connection management and multiplex multiple connection over a single channel. So these are the functionalities of the transport layer. And this is the pictorial representation from the session layer. The session layer is getting the services of the transport layer. So from the session layer, we are having different segments. Different segments are there. Those segments are passed to the network layer. And from the network layer, it goes to the data link, physical, then again go to the receiver side. So the transport layer is responsible for delivery of a message from one process to another. But network layer is responsible for the packet. But here process. That is very important. So here we are calling as a segment. The header plus data, we are calling it as segments here. In the network layer, we call it as a packet. That's the difference. And here end-to-end delivery. That is process to process delivery. There from physical, data link and network, each and every intermediate nodes also it just passed, but from network layer onwards end to end. You just recall the overall pictorial representation of the ISO OSI model. The functionalities provided by the transport layer are service point addressing, then segmentation and reassembly, because here we are just dividing into different segments, and reassembly, that is very important. So some methodology has to be followed. So whether the receiver is receiving the segments as such, the sender is sending without having the same format, means there may be some mismatch in the information. So the segmentation and reassembly is very important in the transport layer. Next is connection control. So this transport layer is providing both the connectionless as well as connection oriented services, and flow control and error control. You already had flow control and error control in the data link layer, but that flow control and data link error control is for link to link, and this flow control and error control is for process to process. The mechanism is same, but that is for the link to link. In the data link, it is link to link, and in this transport layer, it is process to process. Flow control and error control mechanisms are followed. So here you see processes are there. So the process is end-to-end delivery. So network layer is host-to-host delivery, that is node-to-node delivery. Transport layer is process-to-process delivery. That is the main difference. Always we have to remember that the difference between the network and the transport. That is the difference. Network host-to-host delivery and transport layer is process-to-process delivery. So coming to the session layer provides mechanism for controlling the dialogue between the two end systems. It defines how to start, control and end conversation, that is called as sessions between application. Session, it is a general term only. So this session layer provides this functionality. And this layer requests for a logical connection to be established on a end user's request. And any necessary logon or password validation is also handled by this layer. And this session layer is also responsible for terminating the connection. That is, it is establishing the connection as well as terminating the connection. And this layer provides service like dialog discipline, which can be full duplex or half duplex, and session layer, and also provide checkpointing mechanisms such that if a failure or some sort occurs between checkpoints, then only the last part has to be retransmitted, or the process has to be retransmitted from the last checkpoint. That is the main functionality of this session layer. So here the session layers functionalities, dialog management and the synchronization, that is the checkpoint, synchronization points or checkpoints has to be made so that it improves the reliability or the cost involved in the transmitting the process. So this is the pictorial representation of the session layer. The presentation layer is getting the services of the session layer. So here some synchronization points are set. Here data plus header, but some synchronization points are set. Why synchronization points are set? Suppose if there is any loss occurs, means in the session layer, it will be checked those checkpoint by checkpoint. So suppose we are sending a 2000 page document, and the 2000 pages are divided into some 500 or 100 200, likewise something we divide, means suppose if failure arises in the 700th page, at that time what happens? Up to 700 no need to retransmit, from 700 onwards we can retransmit. So that synchronization is maintained using this session layer. So the session layer is responsible for dialog control and synchronization. That is the functionality provided by the session layer, dialog control and synchronization. I already discussed this. Next is the presentation layer. Presentation layer defines the format in which the data is to be exchanged between the two communicating entities. We already know it provides some synchronization, data encryption, compression, then syntax and semantics, that the main thing. That is only provided by the presentation layer. It handles data compression and data encryption. Encryption we know, cryptographic concept. Encryption we are converting from one form to another form, and in the opposite side we have to perform the decryption. That is the modified form is converted to the original form. That is the encryption, data encryption. So this is the pictorial representation of the presentation layer. The application layer is getting the services of the presentation layer. So the data is passed to the from application layer to the presentation layer, and the header is appended in the data, and it is sent to the session layer. And mainly the presentation layer is responsible for translation, compression as well as encryption. So it is concerned with the following responsibilities like translation. Translation in the sense the sender as well as the receiver has to follow the same set of protocols. Otherwise, the meaning can be changed. So whatever the semantics or meaning followed from in the sender, the same thing is followed in the receiver. That is the translation part. In encryption we discussed, and compression, which is to reduce the size of the data. Mainly compression is involved or included in some sending of images, videos, audios. Those are very large files. So in such cases, we have to send perform the compression also in the presentation layer. Next is the application layer. This application layer interacts with application programs and is the highest level of the ISO OSI model. And this application layer contains management functions to support the distributed applications. We know many applications like file transfer protocol is there, then electronic mail, then remote login, etc. These are some of the applications provided in the application layer. This is the pictorial representation of the application layer. Here user programs are given, and that is passed to the next layer. That is here the message. What are the user programs that is passed to the next layer? So that is the data. The presentation layer, that is in the application layer itself, we are adding the header, and we are sending. Whatever the user program, we are just taking it as a data, then we are appending the header and we are sending it to the presentation layer. Then that goes on to the lower level layers and it's sent to the receiver side. So the application layer is mainly responsible for providing services to the user. So the application layer is concerned with the following services like network virtual terminal. Virtual terminal in the sense it is providing one virtual terminal. So whatever the user program that goes to the virtual terminal only, but the user may feel that we are using the exact or original terminal, but that is not the case. It moves to the original virtual terminal, and from the virtual terminal only we are accessing everything. That is the network virtual terminal. Then file transfer, we can transfer files, then access and management, then mail services, email services are there. Then directory services means some global directory services are there. Global information are provided in the directory and we can access those services. That is the directory services. These are the summary of layers. Totally 7 layers are there. Physical layer, it transmits bits over a medium to provide mechanical and electrical specifications, and data link layer. Here it organizes bits into frames and to provide hop-to-hop delivery. That is node-to-node delivery. And network layer, it moves packets from source to destination to provide inter-networking. And transport layer, it provides reliable process-to-process message delivery and error recovery. And the session layer, it establishes, manage and terminate sessions. Then presentation layer to translate, encrypt and compress data. And application layer, it allow access to network resources. So if you know the summary, what are the 7 layers in that order and what are the functionality of each and every layer, that is very important. So in this presentation, we discuss about transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, application layer, and summary of all the 7 ISO OSI models layers. Thank you.